I've seen them play better. They didn't win. The defense won. That was one of the quotes from some insider that we spoke to about Georgia's scrimmage. They were talking about Georgia's offensive line, which is going to be a very important part of this Georgia team as they get ready to try to win a third national championship in 3 years. It wasn't great for that group. Kirby Smart had this to say, just generally speaking. He said, I certainly think we have a very talented first group of offensive line and a couple of backups. We've seen 7 or 8 guys who played winning football. I don't know if we got their best effort. If I were to say, quote, I'm going to grade our line over the practices so far, then I'm going to give, and then I'm going to grade them on this practice. I would argue that the practices up to this point have been a little better and a little more dominant than they were today, at least in the run game, but maybe not in the pass game. I'm pleased with the leadership from both of those groups. I'm not pleased with where we are. This was not the most overwhelming scrimmage. I mean, like, it wasn't one of these things where people were just going, "Oh my God," No, it really wasn't that way. When you talk to folks who got the ability to see it, but you still have 3 quarterbacks trying to position themselves to win the quarterback job. You've got some. You got to worry about a little bit of injury at running back. You got guys like Kamari Lassiter. You've got Smile Monday, Kamari Lassiter, Kendall Milton. These guys all were not really participating in the scrimmage. They will be playing at Georgia by the time it really matters. So same thing with Branson Robinson, guys like that who I think did play a little, but not a ton. So this is one look at where Georgia's at. Hey, speaking of which, make sure you're taking advantage of this offer down below. We're going to run out of these 2023 previews. You get this for free when you sign up for Dog Post right now. We are going to run out of these. Why? Because so many people are taking advantage of this. You take advantage of it. Get our 2023 preview, which has all sorts of stuff you're not going to get anywhere else, including images and write-ups, etc. Here's something on Carson right here. Yada yada. You get that. You get a t-shirt for free from our friends at Red Zone. You get 20% off any item on their online store. If you've bought Double Dogs or look at Georgia's national championship in 2022, I have to be specific about which year we're talking about with these national championships. I'll give you a month of Dog Post for free when you sign up. The link is down below. It's the only link. All you have to do is sign up there. Red Zone will get you your stuff very soon thereafter with your specific code, and you'll have 30 days from that point to order what you have to do. So what you want from our friends at Red Zone and get that 20% off. But I think it was, in my time doing this, this is maybe the most matter of fact people have been about it. Georgia is in a position to win the conference, win the national championship again. I don't know if you can tell if that's going to happen from this one scrimmage. The defense was fast. The defense is still a big unit that has the ability to run. They do not have Smile Munden out there. They don't have Kamari Lassiter out there right now. So there's some missing parts. But Georgia's offensive line, which is really good, had a hard time on Saturday. So, it can be, this is one scrim, like no quarterback looked unstoppable. What did Kirby say, too, about the quarterbacks? I don't want to. He said the quarterbacks. This is the other thing that was sort of, the other part that more Kirby than like people behind the scenes. He was saying people need to. The quarterbacks need 10 people around them focusing at a high level, and a couple of those 10 making explosive plays for them. The people around them have to play better. I don't know if Kirby was talking about the offensive line specifically, but of the 10 people, that's 5 of them. So, some of the highlights that Georgia released, you could see a guy, a ball get knocked up in the air and get picked off, stuff like that. And he said that, that the program doesn't, overjudge that sort of stuff. Some things should be completions and they don't always turn out that way. We included in our report, which is not linked down below, but you can find it on the website, talking about who looked good, who like a little bit more like, but again, I will say nobody was so unbelievable that, this is a person you need to watch. Not based on the scrimmage specifically. At least it escaped the folks that we talk to. I think that part of what I think is happening now is that people are so used to um, so the public always wants to know what the flashy item is. Who looks great? What is the, what are we missing here? And the folks that watch the scrimmages, the people inside the program that you talk to, it's just not, it's harder to see flash. I mean, like, how many times are you going to talk about Brock Bowers? Or, that was one thing, too, was that Carson Beck was trying to get Brock Bowers going at the start of the scrimmage. But, when you can't run, which that was one of the big takeaways, was the offense had a hard time running the football. They got whipped. I mean, I think is maybe the more succinct way to put it. But they just had a hard time running the football when I say whipped. But, we are so far away. We're kind of at the midpoint. It's a little past the midpoint between the last national championship game and the next national championship game. And there's not any, sort of one thing that's going to happen between now and then, the next national championship game, barring perhaps Carson Beck getting hurt, that would change Georgia's chances to get there. Like, no one player, what I mean by that is no one player going out, let's say Javon Bullard gets hurt, or that, Kendall Milton has to miss some time, or Edwards, or, Muse, or Brock Bowers, or Xavier Sori, or anybody that's like either kind of an up and coming player, or somebody who, and I think with a quarterback that's a little bit different ball game. Some people said that Carson just really looked good, but like no one was like, oh my, like a year ago, I seem to remember that one scrimmage Stetson was really hot, and the other one it was just like this was a lot more but it wasn't bad. It just wasn't like, oh my God, I can't believe. So it's not like that right now, and it's not like that really. I don't think anymore. I think people are always I know people are always in search of the amazing. It's something that in online culture.com culture for the team sites, the .coms that cover the teams, that's something, the fans want something to look forward to. They want amazing. Georgia really wasn't amazing necessarily last year. They just ground you up. Remember the first drive against Oregon? I mean, what was the play of the first half against TCU? Javon Bullard making the strip or maybe an interception. There was no wow moment. I mean, Ladd McConkey was wide open when he scored his touchdown. Ladd McConkey on a couple of touchdowns was wide open. Ladd had an okay day, but there's nothing like the next, like the amazing part about Herschel Walker in 1980 was that nobody'd seen something like that before. He was singularly a game-changing component to a team that was a pretty good defense, and or really a pretty good to really good defense, and an offense that had parts. But he melded his addition changed everything. There's no one player like that, and I'm using Herschel as an example. Or, you think of the 2012 team, if they did not have Todd Gurley, what would that team be like? They wouldn't have been, a play from the national championship, winning a national championship. So that person doesn't exist for Georgia because there's like 8 of those people now, or 12. I mean, Carson Beck's really good. So you've got that, okay? He's a really good player. People have confidence in him. John Edwards is probably the best running back this century that no one thinks about at Georgia. Like, Nobody, he's not discussed like, oh, this guy should win the Heisman, or he's a beast, like he's like physically. No, he just, almost goes for 800 yards in a season like that. So, and then you've got a defensive front that is not dissimilar from the Edwards description I just said. Like, no one's like, oh my God, how do we stop Zion Logue? Well, you might not have to game plan for that, but how are you going to run on Georgia with Zion Logue being in there, right? So there's a lot of that. But like Dumas Johnson, Smile Munden, these, Malachi Starks, Brock Bowers, these players are, some of the offensive line, Cedric Van Pran, these are elite players for their position in college football. And they're all there. There's no one person. There's no, like what made those Florida teams under Urban so dangerous was they had a lot of different guys. It wasn't just Tim Tebow. That's the legacy of it. But they had Percy Harvin, Hernandez. They had the Pounceys. They had Spikes on defense. They had a lot. Georgia's got a lot now too. And if these two teams were playing, I think Georgia would probably win that thing 6-7 times out of 10 against those Florida teams. They were not as consistent as this Georgia program is right now. That's one difference. This Georgia team, didn't lose to Missouri. That Florida team lost to a not great Ole Miss team at home. So there's no one person that at a scrimmage you're like, oh my God, it's not like that, but that doesn't mean it's bad. I would argue that might mean it's really good. Because, I still remember, I don't even want to say where I was specifically, but I was at a high school football game about a week or 10 days before Georgia Clemson in 01 and 21. And their notion was that Brock Bowers was like really pretty good. Yeah, he was. I don't know yet if that person exists on Georgia's team right now of like someone who's not really come out yet, because a lot of those people who could be special like Brock Bowers was, they got to get past other people. Like if you're an inside linebacker and you're trying to get onto the field to start, you don't just have to get past Munden and Dumas Johnson. You also have to get past Sorey as well as, Walker. There's a lot in your way. If you're number 3 on the depth chart, you could really be a first-round draft pick depending on your position. And that's what people were seeing at the scrimmage the other day. It's a really good team.